Yo, what's going on? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. Hey! Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Look, finally caught up, and I do have some thoughts. This was a pretty interesting episode. This episode is brought to you by Really Hood Podcast, available everywhere. All right, the very first couple I would like to talk about is Mackinley and Dominique. Um, for the record, my first thought about this couple was that they would divorce, and I am seeing more and more signs of that particular happening. I believe it's definitely confirmed by this point. Dominique is not happy with Mackinley for several reasons. This episode just drove that point home. She is absolutely angry at this point in the season with everything that Mackinley does. I've learned over time that when a woman is not satisfied with a man, everything he does irritates her. And I think that's where this marriage is. Because Mackinley cannot respect, I'm sorry, rather Dominique. His name is kind of whatever. Because Dominique can't really respect Mackinley, as a woman might look up to her father and so forth and so forth. Because that's not fair, she really doesn't like this guy. Okay. And I really find it difficult to find, that this marriage is going to work. And I would argue that McKinley doesn't do himself any favors because he is constantly joking, and I would argue confirming her suspicions and her problems with him in general. I think she sees him as less than a man. And we have to keep one thing in mind. Dominique is someone who, dare I say, carries the persona of a man. All right. She holds in high regard her abilities to do things that men are known for doing. But she doesn't. She likes fishing, hunting, whatever she said. But the point is, the whole gender concept is really big in her ideology. You can definitely tell that she looks at that constantly. That's like a very pivotal point in the way that she sees the world. And that's the male and female gender roles. And man, they could not have missed the ball anymore. And I'm talking about the experts in this case. The minute she opens her mouth, she talks about gender and how she does this as a woman. And she talks about that the minute you hear her talk. I don't even know who Dominique is. I've just seen her in clips on a TV show, and I already can tell and already know that she values the roles of gender and or I should say male and female. And the minute McKinley opens his mouth and say that he lives with someone, that should have been a red flag not to put these two together, because though it doesn't necessarily mean that a man is struggling because he's living with somebody, it certainly lends to that particular idea. And man, like I said before, McKinley, he just kind of he's not serious enough. And you heard Dominique talk about wanting to be with somebody who is serious. That's why she's dating older. I think she's 25, and she typically dates men over 30. And I think she does that so that she can avoid people like McKinley, right? But in this case, it's like the worst possible scenario because she has someone who's in their 30s that still hasn't got it figured out. Now, the big question for me in this episode the entire time is McKinley super smart, or is he underachieving as a man? That was my big question the entire time, because on one aspect he's been in Nashville for 5 months, and you could make the argument if you were his lawyer, his love lawyer, and say, hey, look, he didn't jump into a house, into a 1 year commitment at an apartment or a place or rental property. Had he done that, would he really be open for marriage and have space for a marriage? Because then he would have to pack up, break his lease, move, sell his house. That could have created more issues. If I'm his love lawyer, those are the points that I'm bringing up. However, if I'm the prosecutor, I'm saying there's no excuse. He's moved from one place. What was it, from Michigan, right? From Michigan to California to Nashville. So I would say, as a prosecutor, this man doesn't know what he wants. He's still a child. He doesn't know where he wants to go. And as Dominique brought up in this episode, how do you find yourself on a show where you're getting married at first sight when you haven't even found a house at first sight? Right? And it makes you wonder, if I'm the prosecutor, Your Honor, does this man has his priorities out of whack? I'm just going to just throw something out there. Let me know if you're catching this or if you're throwing it back. Don't you think you should have maybe a place of your own before you get married. That's just my personal opinion, okay? And I could be wrong. And I'm listening. My ears are open in the comment section. Sound off if you think differently. Shouldn't you have your own place? This is for you. You're watching this, right? This is me and you talking. I don't know if you're married or not, but I'm just going to ask a question. Before you got married, don't you think, or is it rational to think that a person should have their own home? I'm not saying own a home, just their own space in general, because a married man who lives in somebody's basement just doesn't sound right. That's almost like a juxtaposition. It's putting two things together that just don't match. You see what I'm saying? So it's like this is a husband, and we know the husband carries a husband is like a man times two. All right. Anybody can be a man, but the special men graduate to being a husband. I just think a husband is the creme de la creme of men on the planet, right? If women are asking where are the good men, they're usually married because they have graduated from being a boy, right? And I feel like Mackinley is throwing a wrench in that particular concept. So that's my question. That's my. I don't want to spend the entire video on Mackinley, but I'll just say this as my final point. I am very disappointed with Mackinley at this point in the season. I'm sorry if anybody pushes back on that. I do like Mackinley, but I just if I am Dominique's father, because I have two daughters. If I'm Dominique's father and she's telling me that she met a guy and he doesn't have his own home, he lives in somebody's basement, and it's his friend, and he went from Michigan to California to Nashville. I'm like, sweetheart, let me tell you something. There's so many men out here. Don't settle. That's what I'm telling my daughter, and that's what I'm telling you. Okay. All right. The next couple. It's Christopher and Nicole. I am so happy we are getting further and further in this season because it's given me has given me the opportunity to really understand who these people are. I'm gaining more and more understanding of who they are. And I got to start off with a very controversial question. The question is Christopher too sensitive? Now, and the reason I asked that question is because some people will see it one way and others will see it another. For me, I've been asking myself that question for a long time now. Today, or I should say, in this episode 7, he did something that was a little surprising for me personally. Now, I'm all about expressing yourself. I'm all about expressing your emotions. But when I tell you that, look, Nicole goes outside and Christopher is like, like it's not like a normal cry where you're like, man, like, yo, this is crazy, son. Like, goodness, dude, like, what? How? Like, I can't even understand. He like, no, it's not like a cry, like a grown man cry. It's like, it's like one of those. So I was just like, yo, what's going on? Like, help me understand. Whoever watching this, yo, like, what's going? Is it just me? Am I the only person on earth that's looking at my boy Christopher like, bro, you all right? You good? Like, this guy Christopher is either the greatest man on earth or a straight punk. I'm sorry. I know now we're in this hypersensitive culture now where you can't talk about people, but I'm doing it. Cancel me. I don't care. Is he? He's either the greatest man on the planet who's in touch with his feminine side that cries and shares his emotions, or he's a straight punk. I don't know which one it is. I guess a third option would be somewhere in the middle. But it's like, going back to what I said earlier. If my daughter came home like, "Hey, Dad, I found somebody. His name is Chris," and then he came over, and I met the Chris that I'm seeing on this show, and maybe even if my daughter went on Married at First Sight and I'm watching their relationship and he's like, I see what Chris, I guess I would be happy. I'm like, okay, he's clearly not going to put his hands on my daughter. He's probably not going to cheat on my daughter, and he's going to probably treat her like a queen. So I guess he might be more so one of the better men on the planet Earth, right? I would say maybe I'm wrong about the whole punk thing, but at the same time, because the kind of person I am, the kind of father I am, I would also wonder, can he protect my child? Can he protect my daughter? If they're in a situation where she has to be protected, which she'll never be, because I'm Papa Bear. I make sure she's good at all times. But the point is, hypothetically speaking, I would wonder about that. Like, can he protect my child? Like, has he ever held a firearm? Like, does he know how to wield a knife? Does he know how to throw a right hook? That would be concerning for me. And I am really, really, really curious about what women think about Chris. I haven't checked online because I just been busy, but I really want to know what they think. Like, are women warmed up to this? Like, hey, they're crying with him? Or are they looking at him like sideways? I really need a woman to tell me that answer. Like right now, if you're a woman and you got this far in the video, I'm like, look, I'm not trying to trick you into comment on the video, not like that. I need to know. Like, this is something that will change my philosophy. And I think I know the answer because my mother, God rest her soul, before she passed, she told me a lot about the woman's mind, the mindset. And one thing that she always talked about was how important it is for a man to be a man, right? And I'll be honest, full disclosure, I cried a lot with my mother, but I was about 16, 15, 14, 13. For whatever reason, I was always crying in front of my mother. In fact, that's like the only woman on planet Earth that I've cried in front of. My wife has never seen me cry to this day. And I don't know why I haven't. It's not because I've been trying not to cry. It's just I haven't had a reason to. I've been, life has been good. But my mother, for some reason, from ages maybe 12 to 16, she saw me cry like on average, like 3 times a month for one reason or another. Just frustration or something. I'm not sure. But like I said, I was younger. So I'm not sure what women think of that now. Anyway, I could spend the entire episode talking about Chris is crying. But I do like I will say Nicole is just, oh man, she's working for me. She's really doing it for me. I know I said a lot of things about her hyperactive activities and behaviors, but I really like Nicole. She is such a nice person. And I'm going to put it out there. I think she's very beautiful as well. It's just confusing. It's confusing to me. It's confusing to me. And I guess I'll throw this question out there. And I know this is a very immature question, but is it weird that none of these couples have had sex on their honeymoon? No? Yes? I just feel like that's just a weird thing to me. We know when it comes to marriage, the honeymoon is where all the that's like, and I understand this is a different experience, but you know, I've been a man for a long time, and there's been several occasions when I've, just met a woman or I'm dating a woman. Man, the things that would have happened if I was in Jamaica with them alone. Perhaps it's the cameras. Is that what it is? I don't know. I just think it's strange. Next couple I want to talk about is Airris and Jasmine. All right, so this couple, my gosh, man, this was the toughest couple to read this episode. Airris, if you watch my last reaction to episode 6, I just was not happy with that guy. I would say episode 7 did a lot to repair my feelings about Airris. I felt like he really showed me who he is. He's not saying she's ugly. He's just saying he's not attracted to her to the same extent that she's attracted to him. So I think that I can understand that. I can get that. But at the same time, I am struggling to understand how difficult it is to find Jasmine attractive. The only thing, the only detractor from Jasmine's overall appearance is the bottom row of her teeth. That's it. And you can tell that's genetic, and that is something that can be fixed. I just like I mean, I said this before. My teeth were really bad when I met my wife. I had a huge gap, all kinds of stuff, and it just took time, right? Self awareness, even. And I think Jasmine will go through that same experience. I think she's pretty young at this point. So, I don't understand. Besides that bottom row of teeth, Jasmine is pretty hot to me, just personally. But Eris made a lot of profounding points this episode that made me kind of endure it made me more susceptible to the way he thinks. First off, one thing I like about Aries now that I didn't know before is that he's absolutely organized. Goodness gracious, man. This guy is organized. I love that kind of person. Not from a I mean, just generally speaking, I like people, not a woman. No, I like people that are organized, that have their affairs together. Even right now, as I'm recapping these episodes, I'm not all over the place. I'm going couple by couple because I just like organization. And Aries, whatever his name is, Aries has shown me that he's that kind of person. Even when they go to apartment. And he has his shoes in order, and he says this room is for this and that room is for that. Goodness gracious, I was like, wow, I really like that. So it made me try to figure this out. Perhaps maybe it's that Jasmine just comes across as unorganized. Maybe her look is unorganized. Maybe her bottom row of teeth is unorganized. All right. Now I was just like, okay, I'm starting to understand. And I like the fact that Airris every morning or every whatever how many mornings he does it, he exercises. That's a very difficult thing to do. When you wake up tomorrow, ask yourself, do you want to go to a gym and exercise? Because Airris would say yes. And that's a very difficult thing to do. So speaking of organization, another point that I'll throw out there for Airris is that he's very disciplined discipline. And I know that sounds strange given the fact that he seemed to be someone who just jumped at sex with everybody, but we are seeing different. He talked a big game, but we're starting to see a lot of restraint, which I would also argue that is discipline. All right. So he's disciplined. And my third point I'll put out there about Airris in terms of endearment is that I didn't know that his father died young via murder. Now I did hear him say it, but it didn't stick. Like I heard him say it as I was watching, but it didn't stick. And this time it actually stuck. I didn't know the chain he was wearing was in commemoration. What's the word? Commemorative. I didn't know the chain he was wearing was in memory of his father. I had no clue. So all that stuff helped me understand Airris a little better, and I just really appreciate him a little bit more than I did before. I was really, really hard on him for episode 6's reaction, really tough. But I think this episode showed him in a different light, and I'm very optimistic about this relationship. I do think he needs to be open and honest with Jasmine about how he truly feels. But then again, something tells me that telling her that she's a 4 in his eyes might not fare well. He did tell her that she was a friend or he's getting friend vibes. Rough. That was a pretty silly move, in my personal opinion, despite the fact that I do want him to be a little more honest. But whatever. All right, the next couple is Clint and Gina. This couple had a terrible episode 6, but episode 7, the waves and the waters started to ease out. Okay, and that was good to see. I really want to shout out Clint because he rebounded from failure in a way that was quite impressive. He was as far in the doghouse as you can possibly get. And he starts off this episode by talking to all the ladies, talking to all the guys, and basically apologizing for the way that he conducted himself. Now, can I just put this out there? And this is going to sound how it's going to sound. I am totally upset with the fact that Clint is getting dogged out the way that he is. Clint was well within his rights to say what he said. Now, I understand that people have sensitivities, but that doesn't mean that you should have to censor yourself for people's sensitivities. And where is that same grace that Clint is required to show for Clint? Gina, on several occasions, said very derogatory things about the way he looks. So why is it that when he strikes back or says something back, which I am surprised that he didn't do so out of spite, he didn't try to hurt Gina's feelings when he said what he said. He was just speaking his truth. He's just not attracted to certain body types. Some people are attracted to older. Some people are attracted to younger. Some people are attracted to this race, that race, this size. That's their truth. That's their piece. Let people speak their piece, right? So I just felt like him being dogged out like that and getting the finger pointed at him was very, very wrong. And I was very upset that Gina was the ringleader in that particular situation. But on the same time, I can understand those who are in favor of Gina. Like, hey, he was wrong. I get that. But it's my opinion that people who have that perception that Gina was right and Clint was wrong, I believe that those individuals are only seeing it from one perspective. Because to those people, I would ask this: if I am Cliff's defensive attorney, I am basically saying, hey, was not what Gina said about Clint wrong? Yes or no? If you say yes, then you must be quiet for the rest of this particular proceeding because you're making my point. If what she said was rude to Clint, why isn't Gina required to apologize? to not just Cliff, but the entire ginger community. Why is that not a thing? Right? So I just feel like there's a such thing called double standards. And right now, this episode showed me that that is on frontal display. But nevertheless, they have started to rekindle things and get things back in order. So that was fine for me. Okay. I'm not a big fan of Gina. I'm not sure if you can tell. She's very entitled, in my opinion, very spoiled, in my opinion, very naive, in my opinion, very chauvinistic as a woman. I do think that. I feel like she only thinks about herself. All right, narcissistic. She doesn't think about anybody else. It's all about her. And I didn't like that. You know, we saw that with her talking about her businesses. We saw that in her disrespecting Clint, but only getting mad when he disrespects her. That gives me the impression that this person only sees herself. And that's in everything that's going on. Like she sees herself in the mirror. She sees herself in Clint. She sees herself in other contestants. I just don't like Gina's personality, but I respect her hustle. I don't know if that makes sense. I like the fact that she's a go-getter, but I just feel like she missed a couple classes at school when it comes to interpersonality or interpersonal relationships. I feel like she was absent on a few of those days. All right, the next couple I want to talk about is Shaquille and Kirsten. Man, I don't know what. I don't know. This couple is just. I don't know what to think. Is there anybody else feeling like that? Like when you watch this couple, are they working? Are they not working? Are they attracted to each other? Are they not? I don't know. I just don't. I want to know so bad, but I think I do. I just don't want to say it. Okay. Here's the truth. Can I speak my truth? Are you gonna get mad at me if I just be honest with you? Here's the truth. How do I say this? Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna say it. All right. I ain't never been someone to be politically correct. Okay. Politically incorrect is what's about to happen. It's gonna be bad. All right, so Kirsten is not attracted to Shaquille. No matter what Shaquille does, what Shaquille says, she's not attracted to him. She doesn't look at Shaquille and say, I want him. Big problem. Big red flag. Bam. Next problem is Shaquille is afraid of Kirsten. Mentally, physically, spiritually, sexually, especially. He is afraid of Kirsten. And I don't know if it's Kirsten or Kirsten's cousins that have put the fear of love in this man's heart. He is just afraid of Kirsten. And as a result, he's not being the aggressor. And I believe that Kirsten is very old fashioned, that she requires a man to be a man. All right. And maybe some of these requirements and expectations are a little overthrown. For example, I'm not sure if this is going to sound good, but when they first meet, she required that he asked for her permission to give the kiss. I think the principle of that idea is fine, but the problem is he doesn't know you, Kirsten, and you didn't communicate this expectation. So how is he supposed to meet it? I just find it very ironic or very baffable. Is that a word? I find it very incredible that someone can have expectations for someone they've never met and hold them to that expectation without verbalizing it. Just find it baffling. That's all. And I don't know. I feel like Shaquille is not being the aggressor because he's so afraid of Kirsten. Let me tell you what would be happening if you swap Shaquille for Rick the Dawn. You put Rick the Dawn in Shaquille's spot. I don't care if she attracted to me or not. You're married to me now. And I'm going to verbalize that. Okay. I'm going to verbalize that. And you're going to let me verbalize it. And you're going to let me do what I want to do. She's already criticized this guy for the way that he carries himself in terms of telling jokes. I would have said, listen, I like to tell jokes. If you don't like it, change the channel. All right. So I wouldn't have said that. But no, the point is, it's like, and then she asked Shaquille last episode, are you afraid to kiss me? I would have just kissed her. So Shaquille is not hitting those marks, man. And I don't want to judge him too critically because he's in his shoes. I'm not. And I don't know what her energy projects. If you're in the same room with somebody, you can feel their energy. Their energy dictates how you behave. And I just feel like her energy is terrifying him because, I'm gonna try to keep this clean. I'm gonna try to keep this clean. Okay. Kirsten is my type to a very, very small T. Okay, to a T, she's my type. And I don't even think I would care if the cameras was on. If the camera was in the room and it's me and Kirsten in that room, yeah, bro, it's going. It's like it's going down. I don't know how to say it. It's going down. Like I'm talking about in front of the camera. They're gonna be like, hey, 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 like, hey, this is a family. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have to leave then. It's about to go down. Okay. I'm telling you, right in the middle of a conversation. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, I'm pulling down. I'm pulling down, about to climb. Okay. Now the only thing that's gonna stop that is if Kirsten says she's not with it. But we married, and I don't see why she wouldn't. I would have been putting the moves on Kirsten since day one. He's gonna place himself in the friend zone. He's trying to joke. He's telling all these jokes. She even telling him, Shaquille, like there's a time and a place. Like I need you to start putting the moves on me. She almost giving him the green light. Like yo, you got to start hitting these little spots that I need. He's still telling jokes, and that's the problem I have with Shaquille. It's like, bro, he's so nervous that the only thing he can think to do is joke because he's afraid that he's never had this caliber of female. So he don't even want to say nothing. I've been there before. So I'm not criticizing him to that magnitude. But man, let me tell you something. I don't know, man. Boy, I don't know what's up with him. I don't know. I don't know what's up with my main man Shaquille. I like Shaquille, but I'm just trying to understand, bro. What's going on, bro? Like by this, how long has it been? Like they've been married for about 2 weeks now. Woo! Boy, in 2 weeks, I would have already did a lot of things on camera. I'm just trying to understand what he's waiting for. She not gonna be like, I'm married, so I'm learning myself. I'm still learning, but the point is, a lot of times women are not gonna just be like, hey, go ahead and do it. Like they're not gonna give you permission. I've learned over time that women expect you to know what to do as the man, and I just don't know that he's showing that. And I know she has to be frustrated. I think that Kirsten actually wants him to make a move, but he's in a friend zone. He's just not doing it, and I'm just screaming at the. You don't ever watch this show with me live, like while we're watching it together, because I'm just screaming at Shaquille, like kiss her, hug her, lean on her, do something. He just won't do it. Just won't do it. Anyway, all right, folks. I appreciate you kicking it with me. This was a really cool episode, but I think the next episode is what I'm waiting for. I want to see real life. I want to see these people in real life, and I'm just finding it very strange that these people have not engaged in intercourse. This is strange to me. You know, this is really strange to me. Even it has to be the cameras because I'm just thinking to myself, a male and female around each other every day for 2 weeks, even if they're not married, like I'm just I'm just not understanding what is take. Like I don't understand. Nicole, as gorgeous as Nicole is, I would have like, yeah, you got it. Come on, Mackinley. I mean, Domynique. Mackinley got such one of the most girliest names. Seriously. Anyway, Domynique. I mean, dude, what's going on? Jasmine. What is Airris? What are y'all waiting? What is y'all waiting on? It's Gina. Gina. Oh, come on, like Kirsten. Let me tell you something. The men. I'm gonna say it right now. The men are failing. They're failing. They should have. They're not making moves. It's almost like they're waiting for the female to do it. They're failing, and I'm so irritated as a man. I'm just watching this. I'm like, hey, come on, do it. Like, take a cloak, kiss her on something, kiss her on the neck or something, kiss her on the ankles, do something. They just cracking jokes the whole time. I'm talking about what they don't want to do and what rooms they can't go in. What kind of men's is these? Nashville. Hey, Nashville women, y'all better go to Detroit because Detroit, we won't let y'all walk down the street without trying to get your number. All right. And if we get your number, we want to be in love. I'm telling you right now, any woman is struggling to find men in their city, go to Detroit. You can't walk down the street in Detroit. All right. Our streets is made out of aphrodisiac. We walk on the pavement, we ready to attack. And I don't mean physically, like I'm telling you, a woman cannot just walk the street in Detroit because our men are absolutely hyper relational. We want we want women. Like bring them over here. We'll take them all. We'll take 2 or 3 of them. Listen, I don't understand these guys. I'm done. Have a good day, y'all.